There we go. Hey guys, I'm Karen Height, and I'm super excited to highlight some of the most amazing business owners that will be joining us for Skill with Stability here in Arkansas. So today I'm gonna do another of the amazing spotlights. If you haven't seen, by the way, some of the last interviews that I've done, make sure to check them out. I am really loving this chats because they're showcasing what the event will be all about. And at the end of the day, this is all part of this mission that we have at Skill and Stability. Skill and Stability, for those that are new to this, is a movement and an event built for business owners who want to grow, but grow the right way. And I think this is key for anybody that's watching this live. We want to grow not at the expense of your family or families, not at the expense of our faith, not at the expense of our health, and definitely not at the expense of our peace. And if you're a business owner watching this that wants to grow, you probably want to grow but not by racing to the bottom in price, and not by building a business that looks successful on the outside but feels super unstable behind the scenes. And this is the reason why we actually have Trey Sheneman with us today, or with me today. Um, One thing that I want to make sure that if you're watching this and you cannot watch it the full way, just make sure that you save it, because you will want to watch this later. Some of the stuff that we're going to cover and the questions that I have for Trey are little golden nuggets that obviously he's going to expand, and he's going to give you the framework and all the cool stuff that he's doing at Skill with Stability. But even this conversation, I believe that it's going to be very important for you to make the right decision in your business, what you should act on. This event is about helping founders build stronger businesses with clarity, conviction, systems that actually work. So if you're curious about what this could look like, go and visit our page, skillwithstability.com/summit. We would love for you to be part of this. But today, let's get started, Trey. I have so many questions. Your topic that you're going to be talking about, well, I'll let you name it, but first off, how are you doing?
That's great. I'm awesome, Karen. It's so good to see you. I have so much admiration for how you and JC lead. I had the pleasure and the experience of being in the room last year at the first ever Scale of Stability. I brought my entire leadership team with me. We all did VIP. So if you haven't done VIP yet and there's some left, you should get VIP. And it's just a surreal moment for me this year because several people that I've worked with will be in attendance, including one of my mentors in John Maxwell, who will be on stage, who I got to work with before in my career. I don't know. I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for your example. I'm grateful to have a chance to support you, and you guys support me by getting to share this content. I am passionate about seeing founders win, about those that lead boldly with their faith, that they don't have to be second rate at what they do. As a matter of fact, they should be otherworldly class. That's something that I've been saying a lot to my team lately, is like, we come from another world, like we come from the heavenly realm. So our standards should be that much higher of ourselves. And just to get a chance to teach a little bit, I enjoy my career. I've kind of had two careers. My original career was in teaching and ministry, and now I've been in this space for 16, 17 years. And I kind of have a commitment. Last year, I started a podcast and wrote a book. This year, I'm trying to do a speaking tour. I kind of want to get back to my roots a little bit and teach a little bit more. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to ride you guys' coattails a little bit and participate on this journey.
I mean, honestly, could we do this without you? I don't think so. At the end of the day, like, I truly believe this, like the fact that you came last year, like this was out of nowhere, like JC decided, okay, we're going to do an event. Like that takes a lot of faith, from people. And so thank you for saying this really kind and amazing things. I really appreciate you. And I'm excited, because every time that I've heard you speak, I've seen your content. I'm always like, this guy's knows so much. And like, I'm just excited that everybody's going to be in that room learning from you. I do want to give a little bit of background on your experience, because it's really cool. And I'm probably going to butcher a lot of this, but just make sure that I expose everything that needs to be exposed here. Just so everybody is able to like really take advantage of your session. But you founded Herald, which is a consulting firm helping brands scale with revenue. You build growth systems and funnels for organizations. And by the way, led by John Maxwell himself, Dave Ramsey, and others. I know that you have a list of just like big players. And in order to do that, guys, like in order to accomplish some of the stuff that Trey has done, you have to have a very wholesome knowledge, not only on, obviously the product and the thing that you're like, but how the customer at the end, which is what we all need, like the person that's going to receive the value, how can they understand this in a clear way that is not going to take thousands and thousands of dollars. So obviously you have dealt with some big budgets, of course, but in the most clear way. And so,
Yeah.
if you're struggling with that, I think this is going to be for sure one of the most important sessions that you need in your business. Now, today, if I'm not mistaken, you're helping founders stop competing with price and start winning with your compass method.
Mhm.
Did I miss anything there?
No, you didn't. And I will say it doesn't matter if it's I was on a call earlier this morning with a gentleman that's doing, I think, $450,000, $500,000 a year in sales his second year. It doesn't matter if it's him or if it doesn't matter if it's a $50 million a year revenue business. The crazy thing is most of the time I still find the same things. And it's not because it's some sort of like I have this rocket science degree. It's just I've really been a scalpel my entire career, kind of just in a single area of what used to be called growth hacking more than, but offer design has kind of always been my thing. Now I've had teams that have done traffic and SEO and all the channels, and we do channel management even now inside of our brand. But at the end of the day, I am an offer architect. That is what I come in and do. And I am excited you guys are going to give me a chance, honestly, for the first time ever in a live room like this, to teach the 11 parts of what I've kind of been I'll use the word mastering. At this point, we've run about $500 million through this framework just in our own funnels that we run right now. And in the last 3.5 years that we do, not to mention using it at Ramsey, using it at Maxwell, using it with Brendan Burchard and Ryan Levesque and other. I've kind of had this little niche of sort of being that guy behind the scenes with public figure brands. And so I'm excited to share it. There is no silver bullet, as you know, you and JC know, there is no silver bullet, but I'm going to tell you right now, the close enough thing to a silver bullet is getting your offer right. In my experience, when it really comes to growth, that's the most predictable, profitable kind of growth, which is 45 degrees up and to the right. Like if you look at a chart, that's how we don't want growth to be like this, because that means it has some unpredictability to it. We want growth that is more predictable, which means it's sustainable. And the whole point of this is to scale with stability. And so, yeah, I'm excited to come and teach. And the truth is, people pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars for this training when they work with me one-on-one, thousands of dollars. And so I'm excited to be just coming in there. Whoever makes it in the room, we're just going to give it away and see what happens.
And your topic for those attendees, you're going to be receiving an email probably from somebody in the teams here, or Danny, or maybe myself, just talking about all these tracks, right, that we're going to have at the event. And our goal for all the attendees is that you're really able to dissect, like your business before you come. I think we try to be very intentional with any of the events that we do, because at the end of the day, the ROI that you get from an event is, I truly believe, is the work that you put before, understanding your business. What are the things that I need? And through the tracks, you're going to be able to tackle those obstacles. So your session specifically is building better offers, double your offer rate without discounts. So let's talk a little bit about that. Why do so many great businesses today struggle to close deals, right? Even when they know they deliver real value? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think without getting too deep into buyer psychology, one of the simplest things that you can understand is that a confused mind cannot buy. It's not that it won't buy, it's that it can't buy. And most of the time, in my experience, and again, I've name dropped a lot. This is not about name dropping, but in every one of those situations that I've talked about before, sometimes the founder is too close to it and they miss the confusion that exists in the system. And it can just be subtle confusion in the system and a little bit of confusion. You could actually have an offer that's doing $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $5 million, but it still not be the best and highest use version of that offer, even if it's growing. And so what I try and do when I work with founders, when I work with CMOs, when I work with directors of marketing, again, startups, definitely when they have data, is I train them to understand where the leaks are in the bucket and how they can use a system, a framework, an 11-step framework to essentially plug every leak that I've ever found in a bucket. So that the way to think about what this framework is this framework that I use today didn't start this way today. It started as one or two normal leaks that I found in a bucket. And then when I learned to plug those leaks, another leak sprung. You've seen the metaphor of you plug one hole in a bucket and another one springs out. And this is kind of to the point now where I'm like, if you plug these 11 holes in your bucket, you will have what I call an ironclad offer, an offer that's so good it'll sell itself. And that's ultimately what we're trying to teach people how to build, is that ironclad framework. And so, yeah, I think there's always leakage. There's just always leakage. And this is an exhaustive, comprehensive way to be that person that's plugged all the holes and it's like, oh my gosh, my bucket can actually take on the maximum amount of water now. And that's ultimately what we're going to cover.
And one of the things that you're also mentioning through your title is what happens, right, when we're not really understanding I guess we're not understanding the value that we're giving, because if we understand it, then it shouldn't be an issue. And the first, I guess, knee-jerk reaction that people have is discounts. That's the first thing that they try to do. But what do you think discounts feel like the easy solution? What do you think they are? And then why do they usually hurt long-term growth for a business?
Discounting signals to the consumer where your margins are, rather than you taking the time to figure out where their margins are. So there are margins that they have between the understanding that they need to fully realize the value of what they're going to experience on the other side of your offer. And the second you start moving your price, even if it's like a limited time offer, seasonal deals, and don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean Trey Sheneman hasn't been a part of things that have discounted price before. I'm not, that would be very, that is incorrect. What I'm saying is, I just don't want that to be the first lever that you go to. The first lever you should go to and say, there is a margin that exists on the other side of this, which is a gap between their understanding of value and what this actually can do, which tends to be a positioning issue, not a pricing issue most of the time. But if you go to that lever of discounting price, you are now not even subconsciously, you are consciously training yourself, your team, and your customer that they can buy it for a different number. And when that becomes the thing that happens, I think about a very large ministry in Metro Atlanta that I attended the church of, and they ran a massive youth conference every single year where they rented out one of the arenas in the Metro Atlanta area, and they'd have to sell 15,000 seats to this thing. And they showed me 4-year track record of what their ticket behavior patterns were leading up to this event. Okay. And I'm just looking at the graph on the wall. I've been looking at it for 5 minutes, and they're all sitting around going like, man, we have been trying for years and years and years to figure out how to sell tickets better. And I was like, so let me guess, do you run your best special of the entire campaign 5 weeks before the event happens? They're like, yes. How in the world did you know that that's what we do? And I'm like, oh, it's really easy. Your conversion rate quadruples during this week period of time every week. So guess what's happening? It's not that people can't wait to buy it at that time. It's that they know to wait to buy it at that time, because you're going to put the best offer that you have out at that time. So you've literally programmed the audience to behave that way. And so I get leery of a brand that goes to discounts too soon. Pricing is a lever. It's just not the first one. And that's one of the main things I think that I like to see business owners do, is like, you really shouldn't go to a discount until there is a validated, verifiable reason to do so. And that's one of the things we'll talk about in the session.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody speak on this discount, kind of like framework or that mentality behind it of your margins. Although it's like super clear, like as you're saying, it's like, yeah, no brainer, like 100%. But I don't think I've ever heard that. And I believe that every business owner that is doing discounts right now, like it's probably there are ways of doing discounts, just as you mentioned. Like it's not like, oh, Trey Sheneman's never going to give you a discount, but there's strategic ways of doing that. And so I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I cannot wait for that session. I think it's going to be really impactful. Now, in your career, working with all this different bigger brands, obviously other clients that you're working on, what do you think has been the biggest lesson you've learned about selling and positioning. What is like one thing, because it really is a combination of like pricing strategy, even the way that you like talk, how you dress sometimes. JC was looking at the Neil Patel study on like just like, dressing up nicer, and now he's wearing ties.
Yeah,
So what is
yeah.
the one thing that you
JC.
messing with JC here?
Oh, yeah. That's funny. Okay, this is an easy one. This is
Uh-huh.
a number, and I learned this from Ryan Levesque. Ryan Levesque, multi-time author. Ask Method, his former company. He's exited now. He sold that company. Just brilliant. Probably pound for pound, the most brilliant CEO that I had the fortune of working for and with. But Ryan says this thing, and it's so simple, Karen, but it is so profound. And so many of my founder friends just miss this step. They get so excited about what they're going to sell. They're so excited about the experience their customers are going to have. And they start talking about their product, especially in the early days, through a whole bunch of ways that they see it, because they're close to it. It's theirs. And maybe this has been your experience. My experience is until you get to a couple $1 million in revenue, the CEO of the business also tends to be the CMO of the business. They're the ones that know the product and the service the best because it's just the stage and age. But Ryan used to always say, your message, the message that's going to scale you, comes from your market. It doesn't come from your mind. And that is so true. Like the like slice of businesses that I meet when they go through the Compass Method process, and I say, I need you to show me your voice of customer research. I bet you it's like 1/10% of every business that I've ever met. They barely even know what the phrase, they can like discern what the phrase means, but to show me like active voice of customer research, they haven't done it. And so that's I would say the biggest unlock that I even show brands to do before they ever write an offer, if they ever make any changes, is to show them how to properly do competitive set analysis and voice of customer research in a way where it's like, the insights are out there to be gleaned. You just have to know where to look and what to do it. And ultimately, when you do it the right way, so much of your positioning and your frame around your offer is going to come from the research. It's not going to come from your mind. It's going to come from the market. And so I think there's just good practical things you can learn to do in offer construction that take the heavy lifting. It's like, that old metaphor of like, you want to fill a jar with the pebbles. You got to put the big rocks in first, and then the nether pebbles go in next, and then the sand goes in, and then the water can go in last. It's like if you put the water in first, you only can get so much in. And founders tend to put the water in first. They don't think about what the building blocks of great offer design are. And so that's what I find. So that's the greatest thing I've learned, is that your message comes from your market, not from your mind. And you've got to have a process for distilling down from the market what that message or series of messages is going to be in order to scale.
What you're saying, like, especially if we're talking about faith-driven business owners, right? The fact that you're saying like that our offers are talking normally from the perspective of ourselves, talking to the clients, not the client, and then really understanding what the client's saying. It sounds so much like ego, right? Like, I mean, it sounds like the one thing that, we're constantly like listening and reading in the Bible, just
yeah.
Focus on the needs of others, right? And serve them well. And that's how you're going to grow. And I think it's just, we continue to do that. And that's one of that's one of the easiest ways, I think, to lose those potential customers, as you're mentioning, not be able to speak to their pain and the solution that you have to offer them. At what point do you realize this offer design matter more than traffic and even leads? Because I feel like you're going back to the basics with people here.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about just general funnel design, the single most compounding point of a funnel is the cart checkout, or the sales call, like that like closing call, if it's an offline kind of a model. So early in my career, particularly agency days, I was working with a client, and this was back when there was ways on Facebook that you could build a campaign once and go sell it to 7, 8, 9 different clients, and it was just always going to work. And that had been my experience. And then we took it to a client, and it didn't work. And I was going like, well, why in the world does it work? So I'm like, well, let me look at the landing page metrics here and figure out what's going on. I'm looking at the landing page going like, like, I wonder why their e-commerce conversion rate isn't as good as these other e-commerce conversion rates we've seen. And we had never had to work on the landing page before. And so some of that early part of it was, I wonder if something's wrong with the way this offer is working. And that was really my first chance ever even getting asked to work on an offer. I remember exactly where I was. I remember the client. And I will tell you again, this is almost a process that's been gleaned over the years than it was really designed more than anything else. I remember saying, well, here comes my checklist. I'm now going to add it to my checklist over here. Maybe I should actually test the landing page before I start a traffic campaign, because I'd only ever been asked to just drive the traffic to these offers. And so, I think it's interesting again, until someone else who has had the experience can actually point at a problem, you might not even realize it's a problem. When I get to Ramsey and they put me in a division that's growing, I'm there my very first day. I sit into this meeting and they're telling me about this new campaign they're going to roll out and what they're going to call it and everything. And I get done and I say, hey, I'm knowing I'm a new guy. I don't want to be like the one that's got all the answers. I just got a question about some of this positioning. And I said something out loud that ended up being, you have to come to the room to hear the entire story. But, that's my plug to buy a ticket to the event. But basically, it just changed the course of the trajectory of my entire career. And it's not like I'm not a savant or anything. I had just happened to have a similar experience before where I knew to ask that question. I happened to ask the question on a funnel that was getting millions and millions and millions of sessions, though, which meant if the conversion rate on that funnel doubles, it's game over. And so that's what that was actually the moment when the first time I ever saw, hey, I need to test the landing page, to 7 years later, I'm now looking at the landing page that's the end of a multi-million a month session funnel going, if we fix the conversion rate on this landing page, it's going to fix everything that's happening. And thankfully I had enough kind of wherewithal to say, I don't know what the answer is, but I know what process we need to run to get to the answer, which is the same thing I'm going to show people in my session. Is I don't actually know what the answer is for your individual offer, for your customer and your business. But by golly, I can show you a process to get to what that answer is going to be, to probably build the best offer you've ever rolled out to your customer base.
Is that what you call the Ironclad Offer?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Ironclad Offer.
It? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's 11 part. It's an 11 part. Sorry about that. I should have turned my ringer off. Do not disturb. So it's 11 parts. Basically, what's going to happen in the session is you're going to, I don't even remember how long the session is, but however long the session is, you're going to come to it. You're going to start with your offer. And now this is a point of clarity. Your offer is essentially everything that goes into what you sell. So it's the price, it's the name of it, it's the description you use of it. It's all of those parts of it. You're going to bring that offer to the table. And then we're going to have 11, basically a matrix with 11 qualifiers going down the left and a score. And I'm going to show you what a level 1 versus a level 5 offer looks like against those 11 parameters. You're going to end up with a matrix at the end that kind of shows you where you're weak and maybe you're strong. And then I'm going to teach through the fixes in every single one of those categories. And the last 10, 15, 20 minutes, where you're basically going to have a rubric to go and fix your offer, to make sure that you've accounted for where those gaps are. To put it in perspective, when I'll do day-long sessions with people where we do this exercise, they pay $4,000 or $5,000 for me to be there for the day for us to just do this one part. And, this is my random plug. The O offer is a part of a whole bigger framework called the compass that I teach. That's the O in the word compass. But I think it's the most important step. Like again, the thing that's going to move the needle the most is make sure your offer has been, as I like to say, as wrung out as you can make it, so that the most people can say yes in the market. And that's ultimately what that's what the formula delivers at the end. Does that mean people end up with something in all 11 buckets? No, not necessarily. It just means they've thought through all 11 buckets and they have activated the ones that make the most sense for their business, their C, their competitive set, their offer with their message to their A, their avatar. Now we're starting to work through the whole process here. It's things like, what is the desired outcome? Does your offer create a desired outcome? And if so, what is it? It is, from a utility standpoint, what is life like before, and what is life during, and what is like after? that ultimately leads to your desired outcome. What's the language you use around that? There is your value ladder. Like what is the perceived value of the offer versus what it actually costs? And what is that perception of value based in? So that's just 3 of the 11. There's 8 more. And so we work through that together. It's a very workshop-y designed approach. Workshop is probably not a word, but it is what it is. You get what I'm saying. And so very interactive, very like me walking around the room, looking over your shoulder, like, what are we working on now?
Which is exactly what business owners need, Trey.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, like content is available in so many ways, right now in this world. What we really need is a space as business owners to come together, get to have somebody pick all the little things that in this case our offer, right, that they are seeing, ask us questions that our teammates are probably not going to ask, probably somebody that has never done this before, yet we're continuing to think that we can go through offer creation, some of the stuff that we go through in business on our own, for some reason. But I know that our attendees at Skill Stability are not those people. They're looking forward to being exposed, having their business being exposed, so that way you can go and navigate them. What is, as you're explaining this, what do you foresee, or what do you envision somebody that's going through your session?
Mm-hmm.
What do you foresee them like walking away with outside of the offer, obviously?
Yeah. I think the single greatest takeaway they're going to find is that, based on, I'm gonna use some verbose language, and I'm going to circle back to what I mean. I think people assume that the best offer wins. Okay. But the truth is, the clearest offer wins. And that is ultimately, at the end of the day, the offer that has the most clarity. By clarity, what I mean is not the features and benefits of the offer, the clarity of my life is like this, and once I buy this thing, my life is going to be like this. That clarity, the offer that can do that the best with the mechanisms that I teach, is going to be the offer that ultimately becomes the best offer in the end. It might not start that way, but it will win that way. And I think that is the most thing I spend talking to all teams about, because ultimately my whole entire point of what I do in my compass framework is drive to clarity. And I think that word is funny. I think that word clarity is actually an abstract word. Like the word clarity is the removal of abstraction, right? Like it's supposed to be but I think it gets overused, and people like hear it and go, oh, clarity, it's like a catchword. But ultimately, to me, clarity is like an undeniable North Star. Like this is what this thing will do. And if it's not undeniable yet, you're not done. And that's the other sort of one of my core values, both as a human and inside of Herald, is tenacity. We call it champion's grit. It's like, are you like, go another level, go another level. Like, can you make it more clear? So ultimately the clearest offer, which in my opinion becomes the best offer, is an offer that communicates every possible way that it helps someone in the fewest number of words at the best price. That is an ironclad offer. And ultimately, there's lots of different inputs that go into making that happen. But I've seen it work in SaaS and healthcare and education, professional services, CPG, e-com, like so many different industries now. I've kind of popped in as this fractional CMO role that I play now. And I've just seen it work, because it's not a silver bullet, but man, it's a process that just drives you to truth. And when you can get to truth, like driving to truth is the parable of the talents moment. Like the truth is, the Lord expects us to be in the 10x, 30x, or 100x class. He does. It's that is the expectation of us, because the ones that get those talents, he expects us to multiply, to not hide away, to tuck it away, and to do like the one person did that had their talent taken from them. I don't want my talent taken from me. Right. And so my way that I'm 10xing and 30xing and 100xing my talent is I can only work because you know a little bit more about my personal life. Like it's intentionally a lot small, like we have a great business, but it could probably be bigger than it is. But there's just a lifestyle thing that I'm really focused on right now in my life. So my stewardship is, somebody that read my book over the holiday break was like, brother, I know you, like it's all in here. Like, why is it all in here? And I'm like, well, man, here's the thing. Like that is one of the great takeaways I have in my life of working for people like John and working for people like Dave. Like they put it all in there. Like they just do. They just know not. People aren't gonna do it. I love you guys, but y'all aren't gonna do it. That's why I can put it all in there. And so that's just the season I'm in. It's like, this is it, guys. If you want to learn the Ironclad framework, come to the session. I'm going to teach you all of it. I hope you'll do it. It will change your life and change your offer. And if you don't do it, then consultants like me will have a job forever,
There
because
you go.
you get to call us back and then we'll help you do it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Trey, so much for this. I feel like this is very helpful. And that was actually one of my questions. Should all industries, like, is this a session for all
Yeah.
industries? I think you've clarified that. Are there any parameters that somebody needs to have in order to come to the session? Should they have an offer already established? Can they come if they haven't made an
Yeah,
offer
I
ever?
mean, I would say they need to have a service or a product
Yes,
already
correct.
established, which I actually do not think is your offer, by the way.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's what's inside of the box. I
yeah,
think the offer is what's around the box that gets
correct.
people to open the box, is the way that I would say it. So yeah, as long as they have something to sell, they can come and get value out of this. It just might be that they're filling their matrix in with ideas
Yeah,
more than they already have ideas, and now I'm telling them about new ideas. So yeah, I would,
yeah,
we maybe 30 days ago or so, I did somebody paid for an hour session to basically say, like, help me write I don't have one yet. I want to have
yeah.
one. This is what I'm going to sell. I'm doing one of those tomorrow, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
So yeah, any agent stage, if you're doing, like, the biggest funnel I've ever worked on was 80 million a year. So if you're doing like 200 million a year, I don't know if I can help you, but if you're doing anything between 0 and wanting to go to 80 million a year, I can probably give you some insight that will help you.
Well, thank you for this time. I am leaving with a lot of clarity on your session. I love it. I'm excited. I think so needed. I think a lot of people that have been in business for years, are going to need this session. And I'm really excited that they're going to be able to walk away with this clarity. And it's so needed for us to really be able to grow our businesses. Last invitation for anybody that hasn't bought their tickets. We have 15 VIP tickets.
Ooh, come on.
Our experience last year with the VIP was like the feedback that we got was like, this was amazing. Like, the fact that we get to spend even 3 hours with John Maxwell during the event. I mean, that's uncalled for, but just being able to be in that room, I'm really excited for everybody. If you haven't gotten your ticket, make sure to get it. Go to scalewithstability.com/summit. It's in there. So make sure to get access to that. We cannot wait. It's gonna be April 22nd to the 24th. It's going to be awesome. We cannot wait to see you guys. And I cannot wait to see you, Trey. I know that we're going to
Yes, likewise.
but this is going to be really powerful. And I cannot imagine. I cannot wait to see the results that come out of that, because I feel like that's going to be so impactful for all of these business owners.
I think I was telling Danny this, and it might sound a bit egotistical to go back to a word you used earlier, but I think my session is like a 5 or 10x value on the cost of admission. And I know what some of the other sessions are, and how excited I am. Hey guys, by the way, I'm attending too. I'm not just coming there to teach. Like, I'm going to be there in all the sessions. I'm going to pick my own tracks. Like, so don't, like, come enjoy it. Network. I met some just incredible people there last year. And so, yes, if you're on the fence, what I would say is get off the fence, like, be one of the 15 and make sure that you're there. Yeah, it's Cersei. You'd be surprised. There's some stuff. They got an escape room. They got some steakhouses. These are all the things I did last year, kind of around the event. They got a beautiful countryside. Yeah, man, there's a lot. There's an awesome college campus. It's a beautiful campus. So come on.
We're going back to school. That's how it feels like, right? We're going back to school. Well, Trey, thank you so much. I'll let you continue with your busy day. Really excited to see you. And guys, you heard it. Don't wait, because if you wait, it might be too late. Okay, see you guys. Bye.